Welcome to the Simpler Business Podcast, where we talk about ways to do what you love and serve your people in a way that brings you income and freedom. I'm your host, Marissa Roberts. Join me as I chat with my favorite entrepreneurs about how they simplify their biz so that you can simplify yours. Are you feeling tired and overwhelmed with your business and life right now? Juggling work, family, fitness, friends, feeling like you're trying to handle all of it, but you can't really focus properly on any of them? Are you planning, scheduling, writing to-do lists, but finding that you just don't have the energy to action them? When this thing is done, I'll have more time to do that. Except that never really happens. 3 things pop up to replace that one, and everything feels urgent and important. You spend all day putting out little fires, and then you look back and wonder what you actually got done. You just keep going and going and going, and then you burn out. And even then, it doesn't stop because you still have a business to run and people to look after. So what do? It's time to change your beliefs on what success looks like, and I have the perfect person to help you with that. Penny Locaso is the world's first happiness hacker, and she is on a quest to teach 10 million humans by 2025 how to flourish in life. Voted one of the most influential female entrepreneurs in Australia, Penny is her own ongoing experiment. A little while back, she turned her life upside down in the pursuit of happiness. She left a 16-year career as an executive, relocated her family from Perth back to Melbourne, left an 18-year relationship, and started her own purpose-driven company, hackinghappy.co. With over 20 years' experience in enabling adaptability, Penny's calling is to empower people to release their fear of uncertainty, find their flow, and flourish. Penny has partnered with the likes of Google, Microsoft, Lululemon, and more, and she is the published author of the book Hacking Happiness. She has so many other amazing things going on too. I'm going to link them in the show notes so you can check them out. Imagine what could be possible for you if you had a penny in your pocket. Welcome, Penny. I'm so excited that you're here today.
Thank you for having me, Marissa. It's a pleasure.
I think this is going to be such a good conversation because I can tell already that we have very similar energies and goals when it comes to life and business. So I think our listeners are going to love it. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about being a happiness hacker? Because I know this is going to be new to some of our people. So how do you describe it?
So I claim to be the world's first, and I know that I am because I made it up. So what happened, or how this concept was born, was I got to the age of 39 and I had everything that I was told would make me successful. I ticked all the boxes. And I was with a 3-year-old son in an executive career, and I was sitting there going, how is it I've done everything I was told would be, would make me successful / happy, and here I am feeling unfulfilled and completely exhausted. Yeah. And so when I asked myself what makes me happy, it was human connection, positively impacting the lives of others, being present in a moment, and sharing experiences, which are all things I was not doing because I was so busy. So I turned my whole life upside down in pursuit of happiness. So within 7 months, I left a 16-year career as an exec at the top of my game, relocated my family from Perth back to Melbourne, left an 18-year relationship and started my own company. And what I realized was I couldn't be the only person that was searching for more meaning and fulfillment in my life and was trying to work out what that looked like. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to call myself a happiness hacker, and I'm going to help people from a psychological perspective. We call it flourishing. I'm going to help people define flourishing on their terms and then leverage the best of science and psychology to inject more of it into each day, as you say, before we started this, through simple and practical hacks. Yeah. And that was why I called myself a happiness hacker.
I love that. And I think, you touched on something there that really resonated with me, and that was that you were doing all the things that you thought you should do in order to see success, but you just weren't getting that fulfillment from it. It's like so many of us spend our whole life, not just work, but life as well, doing all the things that we think that we should do and serving other people and helping other people and feeling guilty if we want time to do the things that make us happy. And then, we all get to that point, right, where we're like, hang on a second, there's got to be more to life than this. Like, my purpose in life should be actually just enjoying it, right? Isn't that the purpose of life, to have fun while you're here?
Oh, one would hope so, right? But I think what happens, it's conditioning, right?
Yeah.
So we are raised on a societal definition of success. Most of us who come from traditional families, right? You always get amazing people who have the outlier parents, But, it's, go to school, tick all the boxes, get into university. I mean, I'm talking our generation, right?
Yeah.
And, get a good job, get security, buy a house, have your children. Like, it's this kind of path. And we're kind of like, no, I just find it fascinating that we, as smart, educated women, so many, that I met, we don't question that. And often we don't question that until we get to, often I think children
Yeah.
come in, and I think there's something that shifts within us when that happens, for those of us who have children. But generally, we start to, what I see is a lot of women start to question it sort of around their mid-30s.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's
I had
getting
the exact
younger.
same. Yeah, same here. And it's not that you hate everything about your life. You still love the people you love, and you enjoy, in a lot of cases, you enjoy what you do, but it's just not enough anymore.
No, and I think, I don't know. Look, it's so interesting. I work with a lot of female entrepreneurs, and what I've always found really fascinating is that they're not motivated to become a multimillionaire, right? The money always seems like a byproduct of doing the work that is impactful and meaningful to them. And what I see, which I absolutely love, which is why I want to support more women to become entrepreneurs, is that often they are motivated by something that has happened in their life or the life of someone they care about. And they're like, I don't want someone else to go through this. I want to make this easier. Like, they want to solve a human problem. So they go into business to make the world intentionally a better place. And like I say, the money and the success is a byproduct of that, but the purpose behind why they go into business is often related to making, humans' lives better.
Yeah, yeah. That's such a good point. That's so true. I see that, I think about that with my private clients, and I think they all have the same thing. It's like, it's not a selfish thing. It's self-serving to be able to do things that make you happy, but no one has this intention that they just want everything from themselves. It's that I want to do good in the world, but I want to do it on terms that feel good for me too, I think.
Without a doubt. And that's why, I think it's interesting, right? When I said the happiness hacking is about defining flourishing on your terms, right? And it's the same, like, happiness is fleeting. And that's why I call myself a happiness hacker, because people sort of say, oh, that's curious, right? But the reality is, happiness is unique to each individual. Flourishing is unique to each individual. And it is about finding what gives you meaning, finding what makes you feel fulfilled, and having, like, we're talking a psychological definition here, and having deep and meaningful connections with people. That is what flourishing looks like. And a lot of people, think happiness it can be quite polarizing. And that's why I think, I always like to define happiness. It's not about skipping down the road and painting rainbows every day on your back of your unicorn. Like, that's just bullshit, right? Those who are the happiest in the world are those who are emo-diverse, emotionally diverse. This is what the science tells us. And so emotionally diverse means that you are able to ride the wave of every emotion life throws at you, both good and bad. And you have the skills, the resources, and the support structure to do that. And you trust that you will come out the other side just a little better than what you were before. And that's kind of how I define happiness. It's not a goal or an end state. It's a practice and a way of being and sitting with all of the feelings that you have in life, and knowing that that is completely normal to feel shit and equally to feel good.
Yeah, yeah. So don't feel bad if things feel bad sometimes. Just, we're thinking the long-term game as well as the short-term game. And yeah, there's that silver lining in everything, I think. There's always that learning moment, that little bit of improvement that comes from going through something, and just yeah, that having that little bit of hope, I think makes all the difference. Yeah. All right. So when you're talking practical steps, what was the first thing you did to get your clarity on your path going forward?
It's so funny that you bring this up, because I had a podcast with the person who was so instrumental in that podcast, in that process the other day, who I haven't spoken to for a number of years, and got the opportunity to tell her how much she impacted my journey. So the first thing that I did that kind of really, I think, was probably a major shift. Let's be honest. Can I swear?
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, like, to be honest, the first 12 months I was fucking around the edges. I had no idea what I was doing. And I think most people, it's like being a parent, right? We all pretend like we know what we're doing, but even same in entrepreneurship, no one's got any idea what we're doing. We're just like experimenting and trying to freaking work it out, right? Yep. So that was the first year. And then I connected into a woman called Carolyn Tate, and she'd kind of done what I did like 10 years earlier. She was well ahead of the curve and left corporate and started her own business. And she was running a program called Talk on Purpose. And it was basically, it was in collaboration with the owner of TED, or the license holder of TEDx Melbourne. Mm-hmm. And they were teaching people how to discover their purpose and how to actually create a TED-style talk around that. Ooh. And so they invited me into that program, and I wasn't a speaker, right? This is what's crazy about this. I wasn't a speaker. I had a pretty interesting story that sat at the back end of when my journey started 3 years before I made the shift. Mm-hmm. And they taught me how to write a talk, like through storytelling, and they helped me get some real clarity around my purpose. That was a game changer, because two things that did. One, it enabled me to know that it really didn't matter the steps that I took to where I was going, as long as they were oriented towards this purpose, which is to elevate societal flourishing through empowerment, through inspiration, and through action, right? So I can say that really clearly now, but the clarity was not there at the beginning. And the second thing that enabled me to connect into, which was unbelievably powerful, when I did that talk, so at the end of that program, you had to deliver a talk in front of a big, I think it was about 100 people, and like a TED-style talk. And I did that talk, and the response was so amazing, and it felt so damn good, even though it was scary as all get out, because the story was unbelievably vulnerable. You can Google it. If you Google Talk on Purpose and my name, you can look up the talk. And it made me realise, it's like, I like this. I think I want to talk. And off the back of that, I mean, here I am 7 years later, and I'm now an international speaker. And that was the moment. I didn't sit there and say I want to be an international speaker, but I was like, I think I could do more of this. Like, I think I like this. And that was pivotal.
Wow, that's really cool. That's a big defining moment. So, wow. Okay, now I'm like, oh, what's my version of that?
Version.
Because it takes a first step, doesn't it? Like we can accomplish anything we want. Like I'm a firm believer in that. I know there are limitations in the world, and some people it's harder for others, but I really do believe that if there's something that you want to do, you're going to find a way to make it happen. But that first step is always the tricky one, because you never know, is this the first step that is going to change everything? Like you've got to have a little bit of a leap of faith in there as well, and kind of get out of your comfort zone a little bit. But I think it's totally worth it to do it.
You've got to let go as well, right? And when you, so is it, what you just said is really interesting, because that's what a lot of clients, it's like that they're so afraid to take that first step because they're terrified of it being the wrong step. And I would say, let it fucking go. Let it go, because there are no wrong steps, right? The path to where you're meant to go from an intention and a purpose perspective is like a winding country road. Right? You have to experiment. You have to make mistakes in order to get to where you're going. It is not a freeway. It's not a straight road. Yeah. And when you realise that and you let go of the step needing to be right and just say it doesn't matter because it's progress.
Yeah. And you know what?
The magic is.
Yeah. And if you make a wrong decision, you can just make another decision.
Correct.
Right? Yeah.
Correct. And you'll never be ready, right? So if you're also sitting there going, I'm not ready yet, that in and of itself is bullshit, right? Because you'll never feel, it's like having children. Yeah. There's never a good time, and you never truly feel ready. And starting a business or stepping into your purpose is the same. It's scary, it's uncomfortable, and the way our brains work is that we are designed to protect ourselves from anything that feels uncomfortable. So your brain will automatically resist it. But the reality is, if you're waiting to be ready, you'll be waiting the rest of your life.
Yes, yes. Okay, so immediately I've had two light bulbs already talking to you. One, we're all winging it. So anybody listening, we are all winging it. And two, we never feel ready. None of us do. Don't let it hold you back. Okay, cool. All right. So what would you say then is the most powerful action that you took to progress your dreams? Is it the TED Talk thing, or is there something else that you did that was like, bam, this kind of built the momentum for me?
So there's two that I'll give, especially for people at the very beginning who are like, I don't even know what action to take. And equally, often people don't have the clarity. They know they want change, but they're not sure what that looks like. So the first thing that I did before the purpose talk, which people might find, people who are flourishing in life, people you look at and go, oh my God, they are living their life wholeheartedly and fully, right? We all know them. Okay. Now, if you don't know someone personally and it's someone you're watching, online, or maybe it's Oprah, I don't know, sit down and write down, what is it about that person? What are they doing? How are they showing up that connects with you?
Yeah.
Or if you do know these people, I'd strongly advise you ask them for a coffee and you sit that down and say, how did you design this life? You seem like you're flourishing. Can you help me understand how you worked out what it was that you wanted to do and kind of the steps to get there? Now, you're not going to replicate that because, like I say, everyone's journey is different. But I had 100 coffees with people who were flourishing, who were leading purpose-led businesses, all of that before I did that purpose talk. And whilst my journey was unique, it gave me the courage and confidence to step into what we've just said, to know that all of them were just winging it. But they knew that if they took steps that were in alignment to where they wanted to go, it was all going to be progress. So find flourishing role models and ask them what the hell they did. That's the first one. The second one is something I would do in parallel to that, and this changed my life. And the opportunities I've got off the back of this simple practice have been beyond anything I ever expected. So it's called micro bravery. Yep. So if you want to go into your own business or you want to make a significant change, the most important skill that you need, well, two skills you need, are adaptability and bloody resilience. Okay. So micro bravery builds both of those skills. Micro bravery is doing one small thing every day that makes you feel uncomfortable. Now, don't put the blinkers on. Don't look at anyone else. Don't compare your act of micro bravery to anyone else. It doesn't matter what anyone else is doing. Everyone has a different baseline when it comes to resilience. And as long as it makes you feel uncomfortable, you're going to build your resilience level. So this can be tiny, right? So if you are someone who, I don't know, doesn't like speaking to strangers, it makes you feel uncomfortable, talk to the person at the coffee shop next to you waiting for the coffee. If you admire someone from afar and you'd love to talk to them, but you're afraid to ask if they'll connect with you because they might say no, reach out to them. Like tiny things. Go, if you wanted to do, I don't know, speaking and you're too afraid to do it, go to a Toastmasters. Just go to one.
Yeah.
Like tiny things, but do these acts every day. And here's what happens. The science tells us that the more you step into acts of micro bravery, the more you build the courage and confidence to step into bigger changes over time. And you get braver, right? And you get really good at asking for what you want and not being attached to the outcome. And what will happen is that people will tell you yes more often than they tell you no. And the opportunities you will get if you continue this practice, I've been doing it for 8 years now, like I say, it will blow your mind.
Wow. That's amazing. So do you know that feeling you get when you're about to do something that requires micro bravery, like you're about to get out of your comfort zone and you kind of get that little pause just before you do it? Is it fair to say then that you're always going to feel that, but you'll get comfortable with the idea that it's going to feel that way? Like you'll get used to it and you'll just move through it easier with practice?
So that feeling, we all have it, right?
Yeah.
So anxiety and excitement are extremely similar emotions. If you look at the brain under a brain scan in terms of people experiencing those feelings, you cannot tell the difference in terms of brain behavior. The only difference between the two is that anxiety focuses on the outcome being negative. Okay? So knowing that is a hack in and of itself, right? So before I go on stage, now I have spoken all around the world. I've spoken in front of audiences of up to 5,000 people, right? I've been doing this now for 7 years. I still get scared before I get on stage. I still get nervous. But what I now tell myself is this is how my body prepares itself to do its best work.
Ooh, I like that.
And the other thing I say to myself is I'm not anxious. I'm excited. This is important to me and my body's telling me that. Now, when you tell yourself that, you can switch your brain because there are two ways to look at every freaking situation in the world, always, from a constructive or a destructive. And so if you are in destructive mode, if you're in the negative, simply saying to yourself, what would be the opposite? How could I look at this from the opposite angle? It's a brilliant way to create a little circuit breaker in your brain and switch your brain to constructive rather than destructive.
You're so right. Anxious and excited are so similar. I remember my kids are older now, but when they were little, they used to watch a lot of that My Little Pony cartoon.
Oh, yeah.
And there was one where one of the ponies was doing something and one of the other ponies said to her, how do you feel? Are you worried about this? Are you nervous or are you excited? She's like, both. I'm nervous-sided. And I was like, oh, That's such a good point. Yeah, it does. It feels the same. It's just how you recognize it that's different, or how you act on it that's different. Yeah.
And it
Wow.
doesn't go away. It's there, like I say, it's an inbuilt protection mechanism that
Mhm.
existed from when we were cave people. It's when it's called an amygdala hijack, you know. Your amygdala is a small part of your brain, and it hijacks the rational reasoning centers of your brain when you feel this way and puts you into survival mode, which is what makes your heart race and your palms sweaty, right? But
Yeah.
you can create a circuit breaker and bring yourself back. The skill is in how quickly you do that.
Okay, yeah, yeah. All right, then. So, what if someone's out there listening going, you know what, I would love to do this, but I am trapped in the everyday reality of life at the moment. I'm reacting to things as they pop up. I literally don't have time to stop and audit and think about what I want to do with my life. Is there like a tool that you can recommend for someone who wants to kind of get out of that robot mode, get out of that over Groundhog Day feeling where every day is the same, and kind of tap into their spark? Have you got a way that they can kind of pause and do that without having to do a major upheaval and interrupt everything else that's going on in their life?
Mm. So the first thing I would say is that if you can't spare 5 minutes to do this work on yourself, the reality is you probably need at least a day.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Now, when you say, is there a quick way to do this? Is there a way to do it and still have all the other shit going on in your life? I would say absolutely not. And this is what I think happens. We are sold bullshit. It's like, oh, I'm hustling and I'm working and I've got 4 kids and I can do it all. And this is what I'm watching on Instagram, right? And
Mhm.
I say bullshit. And the reason I say bullshit is because without space, without the space to think, without the space to reflect, yeah, there can be no change. And I see this every day in the women that I coach. They come to me because they want to make a shift, like you're talking about, but their days are so full, there is no room for them to even, they're like, I know I want change, but I just can't work it out. And it's like, okay, tell me where in the day you could work this out.
Yeah.
There is no space. And without space, there is no opportunity for creativity. There's no opportunity for spontaneity. And in this realm of making change, yeah, be it career, life, business, without space, I fundamentally believe there can be no change. So you thinking that you can work, 24/7 and squeeze all this stuff in your day and try and work out what's next, I would say you're more likely to make the wrong decision because your brain, yeah, is operating in overdrive. And when your brain is operating in overdrive, what happens is, like I say, it pushes us into survival mode. It's why so many women say to me, I wake exhausted no matter how much sleep I have. And at the end of the day, I go to the supermarket and I'm so decision fatigued, I can't even choose a cereal brand. If
Mhm.
that is how you're feeling, how the hell are you going to work out what you want to do for the rest of your life, or even just for the next 10 years? So I would say if you're sitting there trying to find a shortcut and work this out, the reality is you need space. And what I often say to people is, you can't often just walk away from your life. That's not realistic.
Yeah.
But could you work part-time? Could you do a 9-day fortnight instead of a 10 and give yourself that other day to work on you? It's a work day for you to experiment, to explore, and that's where your space lies.
Yeah. Okay, I like that. And if I really think about it, and I think about all the people I've had that kind of conversation with in the past where they're like, I can't drop any of these balls, everything's going to fall apart. I have to keep juggling all of these plates. I think to myself, yeah, but if you like, okay, this is going to sound really morbid. If you got hit by a bus tomorrow, things would continue around you. You would be resting and recuperating. Like, your life doesn't end because you're forced to take a break. And I feel like we shouldn't have to wait to get hit by a bus to do that. Just assume that you're going to take a day. And what's the absolute worst that can happen? You might get an email or two. Somebody might not have the exact outfit at home that they want to wear. You might have a simple dinner instead of a fancy dinner. None of those are bad things. The house might be slightly more messy. Like, who dies from that, really?
No. But the
Yeah.
thing that we're not sold, which is the truth, is change is sacrifice, right? You have to let go to lean in. So if you're
Mm,
not willing to let go of the comfort of the known that you know is making you miserable, to step into the uncertainty of what you know could make you happier,
yeah.
yeah, you're not going to change.
Yeah.
You have to let go to lean in. And so you need there's the hack, right? What are you willing to let go of if this is so important to you to create the space to lean in?
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? I think to myself, the last few combos I've had with people when when they go, I'm so busy, and I'm like, okay, walk me through your week. What are you doing when? Walk me through your day. A lot of that stuff is actually procrastination stuff. It's just getting in their own head. It's stuff that's not actually necessary to do. And they're just kind of filling it because we've been taught that being busy is good, that being busy is serving other people. And it's really not. I think we all have more space than we think we do in our schedule. I think we have more time than we think we have because a lot of us are scrolling for hours on Instagram or we're watching Netflix and binging shows. We've got time for that, right? So even if we just took some of that time and focused on ourselves, that would help.
So I have a theory on busy. I think busy equals bullshit. And I've done a lot of research over the years, and I've got a talk that's extremely popular on busy.
Ooh.
And so what I found fascinating about the research that I've done around busy is that busy is often code for something else. Yeah. So think about the last time you said you were busy. I don't use the word anymore because it has no meaning. Yeah. And like I say, what sits behind it is more interesting. So the last time you used the word busy, what was the conversation in your head? So for your listeners, ask yourself this. What was the conversation in your head? What was your busy code for? What were you really saying? And I'll guarantee you in your head you weren't saying I'm busy. What I've found, there's a couple of key themes that come up. Busy is code for people pleasing. Yeah. If I don't, like, I'm so busy servicing the needs of everyone else that it impacts, my own happiness and my own health. Busy is code for fear of failure. If I don't say, well, I'm a perfectionist, so people-pleasing perfectionists are right in the female gender. Yeah, so busy is code for perfectionism. If, I pride myself on doing a good job, and it's really important for it to be perfect, but let's be honest, trying to be perfect is unrealistic and it's freaking exhausting over time, which leads into busy code number 3, which is fear of failure. Yeah, I'm a perfectionist, so I don't fail. But how do you open the door to, innovation, to creativity, to possibility if you're not willing to experiment, which requires failure? Busy is also code for negative self-talk. Like the busier you become, the more you're in a conversation goes along the lines of I should, I haven't, or my favorite, no one's getting the best of me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So there are these codes that sit behind busy, and these are the most consistent ones that come up. Or busy is code for FOMO, fear of missing out. If I don't say yes to every opportunity, I might miss the big one. Yeah. But every yes you give to someone else is a no to yourself. So if these are the busy codes, like I would say challenge yourself to ask yourself, what is busy really telling you? What sits behind the busy? And then the second thing that I would do is take the busy equals bullshit challenge. So for 1 week, just 1 week, remove the word busy from your vocabulary and watch what happens inside your head and in terms of how you engage in the environment around you. Because a busy mind will go to anxiety. It's only a matter of time. And if you say to people, I'm busy, it doesn't open conversations, it shuts them down. And human connection is probably where 90% of the opportunity lies in terms of possibility.
Yeah. Oh, already I'm like, I'm such a people pleaser. That's where it is for me. When I feel busy, I look back at what I've been doing for the last few days and I'm like, ooh, that was people pleasing. And none of those people actually cared if I did that stuff. I was putting it on myself. And that, I feel like that I've been aware of that for years, right? And I feel like, is that ever actually going to go away? Am I ever going to get to a point where I'm over that and I don't have people pleasing in my nature? I don't know. I think it's more about, am I going to handle it better? Not, is it going to pop up anymore? So,
yeah. And I think that's the thing, right? It's not about fixing yourself, making yourself perfect. Because again, that's impossible. We are humans, and we are beautifully flawed. But like you just said, being aware of when we're doing these things and doing them in a balance that feels right, because it is nice to do things for other people. And again, the science tells us that is innate to happiness. When we give to others, when we do for others, it gives us a dopamine hit and makes us feel good about ourselves. So you don't want to take that away. But like you said, awareness is the first step to change. So awareness enables you to manage that imbalance so that you do please the people you want to please, but maybe not every minute of every day.
Yeah. Maybe have time for you too. And I just feel like you have so much gold that we can learn from. And I know people listening today are going to be like, this is just touching the surface. I need more. So where can they find you if they want more from you? Is your website the best? Is socials? Where do you hang out? Where can they find you?
Yeah, so a couple of places. It depends because, again, everyone's different, right? So I'm a bit prolific on LinkedIn because I love shaking up that platform because it's so freaking boring. So
Yeah.
so I love to sort of throw things out on LinkedIn, all the stuff that everyone's thinking but no one's saying. So if you like that, the sound of that, go to LinkedIn. I'm also, so you can just find me on LinkedIn under my name, Penny Locaso. I'm on Instagram hackinghappy.co, and then my website, hackinghappy.co as well. Just depends on what your preference is.
Lovely. And you've got some energy audit or clarity calls available for people who might want to touch base with you and actually take a step and start working on this stuff. So do they go to your website for your energy audits?
Yeah, so I always say the first step, because most of the women, my expertise is one, women, and two, helping women who are high performing but exhausted and they feel like they're existing but want to shift into living. So that's kind of the space I work in. And with women, like I say, the change can be anything. It can be changing careers, changing life, or stepping into your business. So in terms of what to access around that, the energy audit is a brilliant place to start. It's a great way to create that awareness that we just spoke about around what gives you energy and what takes energy away. And when you understand that, you can start to play around the edges to say, okay, well, if that takes energy away, what could I do to either inject more energy in it, or is it something that I just let go of and bring something that gives me more energy in its place? So you can access that just by going to my website, hackinghappy.co. It's a free resource. I also offer free clarity calls for any women who want to make a shift, who are interested in coaching. And again, you'll find that under Coach Me on the website.
Lovely. I'll make sure I put links in the show notes so everybody can just click through and find them nice and easy. So, yeah, that's going to be amazing. You have been such a wonderful guest. I am so excited that you came on. You're very inspiring. And I feel like, all of a sudden, I feel like people are going to be listening going, all that heavy weight doesn't feel like heavy weight anymore. That sort of, I'm not buried anymore. I can actually start looking at what I want and making changes and not feeling bad about it. So yeah, thank you so much for being here. It's been really, really helpful.
Oh, amazing. But can we close out? I want to hear, what was your first step that you took? And I'm sure listeners are dying to hear that.
My first step. Oh, that was a big one. Do you know what? Motherhood was a big one for me. You know how you said it's usually when children come into the picture? That was the thing for me. I had spent all of my 20s and a couple of years into my 30s doing kind of everything that I was meant to do, like getting jobs, doing what I was told there, doing what, like friends and family suggested was the right idea, just kind of following along the guidelines that everybody gave me in life. And then I had kids and I was like, whoa, suddenly I got less time than I thought I had. I need to spend that time doing stuff that actually makes me happy. I was like working corporate. My kids were little. I never saw them. They were in bed by the time I got home. I was like, this can't be it, right? Go to work, do things for other people all day, get enough money to pay for the childcare and pay for the parking and pay for the petrol and pay for the makeup and pay for the corporate outfits. And then hang on a minute, where's my fun money now? Like for me, that was my wake-up call. But then I had another one because I left work and started my own business, organizing business. That was my very first business that I started, going to other mums' houses, helping them organize them so their days were easier. Super ironic because I would go all day and do that and come home buggered, too tired to play with my own kids. My house was a mess because I was exhausted. So yeah, for me, those moments were my big moments of change. And I think the first step I did was, oh my gosh, it was exactly what you said. It was like I took like a day to sit back and go, hang on a minute, what do I actually want? Like what's going to feel good? Feeling good was the big thing. Feeling good. What's going to make me feel better? That was my aha moment.
I love that. And a brilliant hack around that is just think about what a great day would look like. Like not a great day in terms of I'm traveling around Europe, like not that, but I'm saying if it was a great day and you could replicate that day, realistically, most days throughout the year, what would a basic great day look like? And that's a perfect place to start, right?
Yeah, that's such a good point. And now, and then you end up living your dream, working from your bed if you want to.
I know.
That's a big one for me.
I love I love being in my UGG boots and my active wear. I am not ashamed to say it. And it's often, like the days that I'm home, that's what I roll in, and it's living the dream.
Yeah, getting paid to just talk to people about something that you love.
Yes.
Oh, amazing. Amazing. You're so inspiring. Oh my gosh, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for being here. And I hope anyone listening out there, I hope you've enjoyed this convo as much as I've enjoyed having it. I'm going to leave Pen's details in the show notes. Take a step forward for you. You are going to love the amazing changes that you're going to see in your life. It's just going to feel like a better fit. It's going to feel like it's worth doing all the things that you do. So I highly recommend it. And I'll see you all in the next episode. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Simpler Business Podcast. If you did, please subscribe, rate, and review us on Apple Podcasts. There's a link in the show notes to make it nice and easy for you, just the way we like it. If you're ready to simplify and scale your business, you can get started with my free audio class at marissaroberts.com. See you next time.